Every Saturday morning, I awaken with a ritual that costs nothing but holds immense value. I take a steaming cup of coffee, sit at my kitchen table, always the same light oak table where gentle morning sunlight streams through, and record every penny I spent during the week in my spreadsheet. This practice goes beyond money management. It connects to something Marcus Aurelius understood 2,000 years ago. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Here lies a truth that might sound strange. Some of my richest weeks were those when I spent the least. I am not speaking of deprivation, but of conscious choices that transformed my relationship with what truly matters. Today, I will share 31 such choices, small, stoic decisions that cost nothing but can revolutionize your life. If you are here, you understand there exists something beyond the endless cycle of consuming to feel better. Please subscribe to Stoic Minimalism, turn on notifications and leave a like, because together we are declared enemies of excess and defenders of a life with more essence. Yesterday, I watched a woman at Target with her cart, overflowing with items she clearly did not need. I do not judge her. I have been there. But I remembered Seneca. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor. I realized that true abundance lies not in what we place in our cart, but in what we choose to leave out. The Stoic philosophers understood something our society has forgotten. Great transformations arise from small choices. Epictetus, who lived as a slave and later became one of the greatest teachers of inner freedom, taught us that men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. Therefore, each choice I will share now serves as a way to train this muscle of conscious perception. 1. Choose to wake up 5 minutes earlier, not to chase the world, but to have 5 minutes that belong only to you. When you wake 5 minutes earlier, you declare, I choose how my day begins. This represents a small revolution against rushing. Marcus Aurelius rose before dawn to reflect on the coming day. These 5 minutes mark your first declaration of independence. 2. Choose to accept a compliment without deflecting. When someone compliments you, simply say, thank you, just like that. No need to return it, no need to minimize it. Marcus Aurelius knew that you have power over your mind, not over outside events. The compliment is external. Your ability to receive it with grace is internal. 3. Choose to drink water from your finest glass. Stop saving the good items for special occasions. As Seneca wrote in his letters, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Every morning is a special occasion. You are alive, and that is enough. When you drink water from a beautiful glass, you honor the simplicity of the moment. 4. Choose to make your bed as if for someone special, because you are someone special. This choice costs nothing but tells your subconscious, I deserve beauty. When you smooth the sheets carefully, when you straighten the pillow, you practice what the Stoics called attention to the present. It becomes like a morning prayer made with your hands. 5. Choose to walk more slowly. Hurry is a lie the modern world sells us. Marcus Aurelius governed an empire, yet still found time for contemplation. He knew that the life of a man is what his thoughts make of it. When you walk slowly, you create space for calmer thoughts. Strength lies in serenity, not speed. 6. Choose to contemplate fire. Light a candle, observe a fireplace, or simply watch the sun setting. Fire reminds us that life is movement and transformation. Marcus Aurelius frequently meditated on the transitory nature of all things. When you contemplate fire, you accept impermanence with more grace. 7. Choose to sit on the floor. Change your physical perspective to change your mental perspective. It is remarkable how something as simple as sitting on the floor can remind us that we do not need much to be comfortable. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "How ridiculous and what a stranger he is who is surprised at anything which happens in life." Sitting on the floor is a way to practice this serene acceptance. 8. Choose to use only one towel. You do not need 5 towels. You need one good towel. Seneca lived surrounded by riches but practiced voluntary simplicity. He understood that if you live according to nature, you will never be poor. If you live according to what others think, you will never be rich. One towel is sufficient. Excess is merely noise. 9. Choose to breathe deeply before each meal. One breath, just one. This transforms eating into a ritual instead of a rush. Epictetus taught that we must separate what we control from what we do not control. You do not control what already happened during the day, but you control how you approach your next meal. 10. Choose to organize one drawer. Not the entire house, one drawer. When you organize the small, the large arranges itself. It becomes like applied meditation. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Organizing one drawer is a way to make your life longer. You gain time, clarity, and peace. 11. Choose to silence your phone for 1 hour. Here is an uncomfortable truth. The world will not end if you take an hour to respond, but your mental sanity might be saved. Remember what Epictetus taught: we must identify and separate the matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control, and which have to do with the choices I actually control. Your phone is external. Your peace is your choice. 12. Choose to write 3 things you are grateful for. Not on your phone, on paper. Handwritten gratitude holds different power. It is like signing a contract with abundance. Seneca practiced gratitude as an antidote to consumer restlessness. When you write what you already have, you stop chasing what you do not have. 13. Choose to look at the sky for 2 minutes. Epictetus said we are part of something greater. 2 minutes looking at the sky reminds you of this. It is free and infinite. Marcus Aurelius frequently reflected on our connection with the cosmos. When you look up, you step out of your small bubble of problems and connect with vastness. 14. Choose to prepare a meal with only 3 ingredients. You do not need to be a chef. You need to be present. When you cook with simplicity, you connect with the basics of life, nourishing yourself. This echoes Seneca's wisdom about staying away from limitless and insatiable desires. 3 ingredients can create a more satisfying meal than a complicated feast. 15. Choose to repair something that is broken. Instead of buying new, fix what you have. This is not about economy, it is about responsibility. You are saying, I care for what is mine. When you repair instead of discard, you practice one of the fundamental principles of Stoicism, working with what stands before you. 16. Choose to sleep without your phone in the room. Your sleep is sacred. Protect it like a temple. Having your phone in the bedroom is like inviting a salesperson to sleep beside you. Seneca wrote about the importance of preparing the mind for rest. When you remove your phone, you create space for inner silence. 17. Choose to speak less and listen more. Especially listen to yourself. How often do you truly listen to your own thoughts without judging them? Epictetus taught that men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. When you speak less, you hear more. When you hear more, you judge less. 18. Choose to walk barefoot on earth, even if it is in your backyard or on your porch. Our feet were made to touch the earth, not just cold floors. Marcus Aurelius wrote about our connection with nature. When you step barefoot on earth, you practice an ancient form of presence. 19. Choose not to complain for one entire day, just one day. See what happens when you decide not to feed negativity. Epictetus lived through situations much more difficult than most of us face and still found serenity. When you stop complaining, you discover you have more energy for solutions. 20. Choose to read for 10 minutes. Not social media, a book. 10 minutes of reading equals 10 minutes of mental expansion. It is like a gym for the brain. Seneca was a voracious reader who said that conversing with great authors through books was one of life's greatest riches. 21. Choose not to compare, not even with who you were yesterday. Epictetus taught that freedom is not procured by a full enjoyment of what is desired, but by controlling the desire. When you stop comparing, you eliminate the desire to be someone else. You become free to be yourself. 22. Choose to forgive someone, starting with yourself. Forgiveness is not a favor you do for another, it is a gift you give yourself. It is like releasing a weight you did not know you carried. Marcus Aurelius practiced forgiveness as a form of self-preservation. Holding grudges is like grasping a hot coal to throw at someone. You burn yourself first. 23. Choose to do one thing at a time. Multitasking is the opposite of presence. When you do one thing at a time, you do it better and with more pleasure. Marcus Aurelius knew that you have power over your mind, not over outside events. When you divide your attention, you lose power over your own mind. 24. Choose to shower as if it were a ritual. Warm water, slow movements, total presence. Your shower can be the most meditative moment of your day. Seneca practiced purification rituals not only for the body, but for the mind. When you shower consciously, you also wash away the day's worries. 25. Choose not to have an opinion about everything. Not everything needs your opinion. Epictetus taught us to separate the matters between what we control and what we do not control. Sometimes silence is the wisest response. When you do not opine about everything, you preserve your energy for what truly matters. 26. Choose to smile at a stranger, not because you expect something in return, but because the world needs more lightness. A sincere smile is contagious. Marcus Aurelius wrote about our interconnection with other human beings. When you smile at a stranger, you recognize this universal connection. 27. Choose to create instead of consume. Draw, write, sing, dance. You do not need to be good, you need to be authentic. Creation is the antithesis of consumerism. Seneca was a poet as well as a philosopher. He knew that when we create, we connect with something greater than ourselves. When you create, you become part of the solution instead of the problem. 28. Choose to admit a mistake without over-explaining yourself. "I was wrong" is a liberating phrase. It is like taking a heavy backpack off your shoulders. Marcus Aurelius practiced humility as strength, not weakness. When you admit a mistake, you free yourself from the need to maintain a perfect image. 29. Choose to wake up without rushing, even if it is just 3 minutes without rushing. Let your body awaken naturally before bombarding it with demands. Seneca wrote about the importance of beginning the day with intention. When you wake without rushing, you choose peace instead of chaos. 30. Choose not to want to be right. Sometimes, having peace is better than being right, especially in discussions that lead nowhere. Epictetus taught that freedom is not procured by a full enjoyment of what is desired, but by controlling the desire. The desire to be right is one of the most addictive. When you release it, you become free. 31. Choose to love your life exactly as it is. Not when everything is in place, not when you have more money, not when you lose weight. Now, this is the most radical choice of all. Marcus Aurelius governed a turbulent empire and still found reasons for gratitude. When you love your life as it is, you stop living in the future and start living in the present. You know what I discovered after years of practicing these choices? Abundance has nothing to do with how much money you have in your account. It has to do with how much life you have in your days. Marcus Aurelius commanded an empire, but his greatest reflections were about simple things: the sunrise, the fragility of existence, the importance of being grateful. Last week I saw a commercial that promised a product would change my life. I smiled because I already know what truly changes life, the choices we make every day. Seneca said, "If you live according to nature, you will never be poor. If you live according to what others think, you will never be rich." These 31 choices are a way to live in accordance with your deepest nature. Each of these choices represents a small revolution against the culture of always more. Because in the end, a good life is not about having more things. It is about being more yourself. When you choose to breathe before eating, you are saying no to rushing. When you organize a drawer, you are saying yes to clarity. When you smile at a stranger, you are saying yes to human connection. These choices are not merely habits, they are a philosophy of life. Each one is a way to train what Epictetus called the chief task in life, separating what we control from what we do not control. You do not control traffic, but you control how you react to it. You do not control what others do, but you control how you respond. The beauty of these choices is that they are cumulative. When you practice 5 minutes of silence in the morning, you become a calmer person. When you become a calmer person, you make better decisions. When you make better decisions, you create a better life. It is a virtuous cycle that costs nothing but is worth everything. Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor." These choices make you rich in presence, in awareness, in inner peace. And that, my friend, is priceless. When you choose to do one thing at a time, you become rich in focus. When you choose not to compare, you become rich in self-acceptance. When you choose to forgive, you become rich in freedom. So, the next time you feel tempted to buy something to feel better, remember, you already have everything you need to be happy. Sometimes, you just need to choose to use it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The life of a man is what his thoughts make of it." Your choices shape your thoughts. Your thoughts shape your life. It is that simple. The difference between an ordinary life and an extraordinary life lies not in what you have, but in what you choose to do with what you have. When you choose to organize a drawer instead of buying a new organizer, you choose action over consumption. When you choose to walk barefoot instead of buying new shoes, you choose connection over acquisition. These 31 choices are small, but their impact is gigantic, because when you change your choices, you change your life. And when you change your life, you change the world around you, not through grand gestures, but through small, conscious decisions, repeated day after day, until they become part of who you are. If this video touched you in some way, please subscribe to Stoic Minimalism and leave a like. This shows me we are on the right path, building a community of people who believe less can be infinitely more. And tell me in the comments, I choose essence. If you enjoyed the video, leave those words down below. Life is waiting for you on the other side of your choices. Choose well, choose consciously, choose with courage, and remember, you have more power than you imagine. Everything is in your hands, literally.